Skeletor needed some more hired help, so Mondo sculpted him a sorceress. Here's your look at new Mondo, Master Universe, Evil-Lyn, 1/6 scale, timed edition. Drawing inspiration from the original Master Universe toy line to 200X and beyond, our definitive version of the evil warrior goddess is packed with premium details, including a fabric cape skirt plus faux fur shoulders and boot toppers. Available for 10 days only, the Deluxe Evil-Lyn 1/6 scale figure timed edition comes complete with an array of swappable portraits, hands, and scepters, plus Screech the Barbarian Bird. Well, we know that she's pure evil, but is she near perfect? We're going to answer that question in a second. First, I'd like to thank the folks over at Mondo that did provide this sample. The Master Universe Evil-Lyn 1/6 scale timed edition unfortunately has sold out since on their site. At the time that she was listed for $260. Now, you can select the option on their site of notify me when available. Putting in your details, putting in your email, you can be notified if they happen to stock her again. Let's take the tape measure and see how tall the figure stands. Then we'll bring in other examples of other masters. The figure of Evil-Lyn is going to stand at 11.5 inches in height. That's going to translate to a figure that's 29 centimeters tall. I guess it is a good day to be a bad guy, and such great examples of bad guys too. Hey, look at the lay of the land. We've got ourselves, of course, Evil-Lyn's boss Skeletor, and another release from Mondo, the menacing Trapjaws. From a scaling standpoint, Evil-Lyn, yeah, I think should be a little bit shorter than Skeletor. She certainly is a lot shorter than Trapjaw too. As for another female example, here's what the figure looks like. Not with one that works for Skeletor, but then one that works for the king. Here's what the figure looks like as well with Tila. There really is a lot to cover. Why don't we look at the thing that her boots cover first? The figure does come included with an oval-shaped display stand, one that we've seen before. Cast hull here really nicely in shiny black plastic. The bottom of the base, though, isn't nearly as shiny, so I wonder if they actually put a coat over top of this. It is a much larger footprint space, too. I really like that they've gone away from moving further away from those M-shaped logo stands that they had done before. This gives you a much more larger footprint space and accommodates the figures much better. There is also, again, the adjustable neck that plugs in place. If you look at this, actually, there's a slot right here, and there's a slotted peg right here. Plug the two together, and you got yourself instantly a display stand. The display stand does also have itself a clip. Now, the thing about the clip, though, by the sizing of this, it actually more accommodates fitting around her leg. I haven't actually used it yet, and part of me actually doesn't think I want to use it either. Sure, yes, it does have rubbery feet on the end of this, but just with the quarters being so small like this, my one real worry, though, especially with her having white plastic for her legs, is if that may potentially scrape it. I have tried it a couple of times, and it works still fine, but I think moving forward, though, with displaying Evil-Lyn on the shelf, I'm probably going to do away with the idea of using this display stand, although I do appreciate the fact that they include it. As for including accessories, boy, does Evil-Lyn do well for herself. The figure for the smaller accessories comes included with a dagger. There doesn't seem, though, to be a place where you could store the dagger on the figure's body, but likelihood, though, with the swappable hands that she has available as well, you can always have the dagger held in her hand instead. The dagger is cast very well here in plastic. The decorative details don't just stop with the sculpting alone. They have meticulously painted this in a really nice metallic blue. At the end of the hilt, you can see as well they've sculpted a skull. Boy, oh boy, that's a cool looking dagger. Not to be overshadowed, though, the figure does also come included with both a scepter and as well a staff. The staff and scepter are very similar in size, well, similar in design, not so similar in size. One is also more easier to carry just in her hand alone. One is one that she can certainly use more as a walking stick. You can see like the details still say somewhat of the same. One thing I really do like, though, is that the orb that they've added inside of this does have a translucency to it. So it does look like this could illuminate. Again, like from a sizing standpoint, there's a lot more blue that goes, though, into the spear than it does to the scepter. The scepter has a little bit more of the black. Unfortunately, though, one thing I've noticed, getting this into her hand for the few times that I have, either some of the paint has been scraped off of the hand, or probably the opposite. Some of the paint, though, has scraped off from the handle of the scepter. So when you are putting it into her hand, for example, let's just see an example here. Grab the hand and sort of just pry it open enough that you can get the scepter in there without feeling a need to kind of force it down from the top, because I think that's the likelihood where you're going to be scraping it. Again, just kind of pry the hand open. It sits a little on the loose side, but again, I'd rather probably this be looser than a super tight grip. The hands, again, we'll also look at as well. So the scepter, the spear, and the dagger. What else? The figure does also come included with the shaping staff. How about that? The shaping staff, again, not quite the blue or the purple that we've looked at, but all done nicely here in gold. I do like that they've added darker colors of the gold in there as well, so it's not just all the same color. Again, just look at the detailing that they've done to the shaping staff. Just really a fun included accessory. This is one thing I really like about Evil-Lyn, is that they threw in things like the shaping staff. They also threw in Screech. No, not the guy from Saved by the Bell. Screech does come included on top of his perch. You can actually detach the condor. Is it a condor? And it plugs in just to the top right here. There's a hole. And if you look on the bottom of Screech's talons, you can actually see that there's pegs right here. In the pictures that they've used actually on Mondo's site, they actually do have images of Evil-Lyn with Screech sitting on her arm. Not the easiest thing really to pull off, because the bird does have some weight to it. But if, again, you want to plug it onto the staff or the little perch, just plug it on like that. Does it survive the blizzard test? It does. I'm not going to do it very long, though. The detailing, though, done to the actual perch itself, again, cast here in a very bright, kind of red plastic. You can see that some additional scrolling has been added also down below there as well. Let's just put that right over here. Grabbing, again, Screech. Screech does have some assembly that's required. Mainly, though, that the wings are separate from them. So when you get this bird out, let me just pull one of them off here so you guys can see. It's probably not the easiest thing to do now that I've done it once. There we go. When he comes out, he actually comes with just his base and his body. You can see like there's posts right here, and then the wings are separate pieces. The wings, all they really need to do is just be put onto the pegs. And when you put them onto the pegs too, and you start to move the bird around, if you look at the back of this, I'm just going to move these back a bit. You can see that he's got these little cannons. It's funny though that he actually has missiles on the front, cannons on the back. But when you do put the wings down, just be careful though. If you put the wings underneath, you're not going to be able to move the wing up. If you move the wing above, if you have it sitting above the back of the crest, you can then move the wings around. And there's posability, so you can actually bring the wings up and you can bring them down, depending on, again, how you want to have this displayed. That looks so super cool. I love the colors, though, on Screech. Again, he's got the little missiles there on the sides that you can shoot down if he's flying in the sky. Looks like he's also got himself like a little laser gun on the bottom there and a laser on the top. There's a lot of good stuff going on here. My only one thing, though, is if looking at Screech, I would think, though, he would scorch the end of his tail off. If the thrusters are coming out the back, let's hope he never ends up having to use his thrusters. Does it balance, though, on Evil-Lyn? It doesn't balance the greatest, though. I mean, you can kind of rest it onto her arm. I don't know if I would do this long term, because the thing about that, though, is it's also adding unnecessary weight. Now, you can see it balances. But again, by doing this, you're adding then stress to her shoulders. This isn't something, though, I would consider doing for a long period of time. So what we'll do then instead is we'll get Screech, just put him back onto the perch, and then we can move on to the rest of the figure's accessories. Again, just plug that in, maybe bring his wings down just a little bit, and we'll move Screech right over here. Okay, so we looked at the scepter, the staff, we've looked at the dagger, we've looked at Screech. Let's maybe move our focus over then to her hands. Evil-Lyn does have on the ends of her forearms right now a pair of relaxed hands that can so easily be swapped out with a pair of closed fists instead. The figure does also come include with a couple of gripping hands, and we've already looked at this. Well, we looked at this gripping hand that's currently holding the scepter, but she does also have the mirror flip of it that goes on the other side of the figure's body. These are really cool. The figure does also have a couple of spell-casting hands. Probably not a good idea to be in front of her. And she does also come include with a couple of dynamic or gestured hands there too. One hand that you may not be able to see is right over here. The figure also comes included with a spell casting hand. Now, this was clever on their part. They sculpted this energy construct around her hand, but it's actually attached onto her hand, so you don't have to worry about trying to feed that around. It's frustrating at times when you get yourself figures and they have energy effects, and then you have to kind of try to figure out, okay, well, which hand is it supposed to go with? And then do your best to kind of finagle it around the existing hands. This one just solves the problem already. The hands are already attached to it, so all you really then need to do is just take the hand that also follow, of course, the format of the thumbs go in. So we're going to go on this side of the figure's body, unpeg the hand, then take the spell cast hand. Did I have it on the wrong way? I did have. After all that, I did do it on the wrong side. Unplug the correct hand. There we go. And plug then on the spell casting hand. So between that, and then we can go ahead and actually we'll remove this hand, seeing as we were doing something with it anyways. And then we can attach the scepter. Now that's a classic look for Evil-Lyn just alone without having to swap out anything else. And boy, oh boy, does she look fantastic. The figure does also have a few swappable additional clothing attire. She does have a skirting, and she does also have a cape. Let's go ahead and take the hands off right now, just because I know they're going to be getting in the way. We'll also take this one off also as well. Let's take maybe a couple of spell casting hands, plug that on one side, and yeah, we'll do it on the other side there too. There we go. With Evil-Lyn now free to do what she needs to do, let's look at her clothing here. So one clothing works a little bit better than the other. She has a skirt piece. Now the skirt does have some fraying on the bottom of this. I do really like the material that they've used. It's got a little bit of an elasticity to it. It works by a clasp. So on the inside, you may see that there's a black clasp right here, and then there's a loop that loops onto that. And when you get this actually out of the packaging, it's already attached like this. I like that it's actually detachable. Instead of having to worry about feeding this up her legs, you simply just undetach this and just fit this around her waist and just clasp it back shut. She does also come included with an additional skirting piece, which again does have some really nice detailing on that. For a second though, looking at this, I mean obviously it's not red, but it looks a little bit like the Horde symbol. And that just basically just fits around her waist. She technically does already have a belt. The belt is something, if you want, you can leave it on her, but if you just spin this around, there is this larger piece, this larger part of the belt actually does unclasp. So there's a little loop right on the bottom here. We basically just pull this off, and then you can just have that separate. Or I'd rather just maybe just leave it on there. The one thing I really worry about though is especially this little thinner bit of plastic. It's a rubbery plastic, sure, but it's still that kind of plastic. Pulling this off and reattaching it a couple of times, I worry if that may start to develop fracture or stress marks to the plastic. What you can, though, do instead is just basically put the skirting over top of it. So, again, the way the skirting works is just going to unclasp it like this. It's not the easiest thing, mind you, to do, but there we go. And then just fit this around the waist of Evil-Lyn. The benefit of this, at least, too, is that you can also decide which parts of Evil-Lyn you want to maintain, which parts, though, you want to change. You just basically put the skirt on like that. Take the belt. Put her down here for a second. Take the belt, and the belt doesn't require any bit of disassembly. You don't have to unhook anything, and that basically just fits around her waist. What I'm doing right now are the easiest thing to do. I had a harder time, honestly, though, changing and adding the cape. So again, we'll just kind of fit this around her waist like that, somewhat like this. There we go. Again, you could probably fix that a little bit better than what I'm doing right now. And then she also comes included with a cape. So here's my one issue with the cape. There's a hole right here, and on the other side of that, there's also a hole right here. I've looked at images online for Evil-Lyn, and from what I gather, at least from the pictures that they provide, is that she has spikes right here on the front of her bodice. That my guess is that's where these cape pieces are supposed to go. So when you put this on her cape, first of all, she does have a faux fur collar piece, and in the images, it seems like the cape actually goes underneath it. So like this lifts up, and then you can just feed the cape underneath it. And for all intents and purposes, what's supposed to happen, you're supposed to take the hole and you're supposed to fit it onto the spike. But with not having a cap, something that can go then over top of it, even when you get the cape actually on there. So see, as you can see, it's been penetrated by the point. It doesn't stay on there very long. And the moment you actually seem to put the cape on, it falls right back off. Now this isn't going to bother me because in the end, I'm not going to display Evil-Lyn anyways with the cape on. But having this be something that attaches onto her body, I feel like there may have been probably something that was missing when it came to the designing of it. Sure, yes, it again goes onto the spike, but again, I probably would have taken like a little cap piece and put it on top of that to keep the cape in place. Now, I'm sure there may be other ways to affix this onto her body, but as you can again see, it just doesn't stay on there all that well. Let's take this off. Let's also unclasp the skirting. And we'll kind of move all the accessories then out of the way, and then what we'll do is we'll look at her head. So with that all off, let's get a closer look at Evil-Lyn's head. Now this is the stock head when you get her out of the box. Pretty looking portrait. Pretty looking Evil-Lyn. I don't mind the fact that she's actually evil. She is quite the attractive character. Of the accessories, though, head-wise that she comes included with, she comes with, first of all, a screaming face, which I think is so super cool. Still, in all the cases, well, except for really one, she has the headdress piece, and that's all sculpted with the helmet that she's wearing. So she's got a screaming face. Would it be a screaming face? Maybe she's just like, I don't know, maybe she's giving instructions to the rest of the Skeletor's cronies. And then she also has this head sculpt. I love this head. As you can see, a big smile on her face. She's looking so rather sinister. I love that they've also colored her eyeshadow there in like a greenish color. Now, swapping out the heads is super easy to do. You're just going to hold on to the torso, just pop off her provided head from the peg. There we go. And then swap it out with the head that you want to use. Now, one thing I did notice, though, with Evil-Lyn is if you have her head all the way down, It does seem like she's got a little less neck. What I like to generally do is just kind of bring her head just up a little bit, so it's just sitting on the peg, not all the way down. And I find, though, it actually just gives her a little bit more additional length, and it helps give her a better proportion. Now, there's this head sculpt, and then there's also an unhelmeted head. I'm not generally one that kind of leans to the side of displaying her without a helmet. I mean, I know some people really like the look of that. I mean, the latest revelation, Master Universe, did have her sort of sporting different hairstyles. I mean, it looks good, just not really something I would ever really display with Evil-Lyn. I like my Evil-Lyn to have a cool looking helmet, and this one definitely does that. For the rest, though, of the figure's body, I'm just going to make sure that's all the way snapped, just because it's going to be a little bit easier to look at the articulation. Should maybe we move Screech out of the way? Let's put him off to the side for at least right now. For the rest, though, of Evil-Lyn's body, and again, we've already established the fact that she does have a faux fur collar on the back. Now, this does attach only here and on the other side right here. Again, images, though, it looks almost as if the fur collar actually attaches onto the spikes. But as you can see, though, they don't. They're a little bit further back from that. Got nice little spiky collar there on the front. Love the decorative details to her, again, her bodice on the front. Classic-looking Evil-Lyn. Again, some really nice additional sculpting that they've added to the front of that. The belt sits a little on the looser side, but again, if you're going to have it lower down on her hips, you're probably not going to notice that moving around as much. Nice detailing that they've also done there to her gauntlets, as well as the bicep ring that she has there as well. I don't know, again, if that has a correct term to it. But again, really nice looking figure. This is, again, why I probably wouldn't use the display stand, just even though they've added caps on the end of it. My worry, again, is with how good that looks and painted, I worry that would maybe scrape the plastic. But all in all, like, you got the fur trim there on the tops of the boots. I like the knee guards, have the skulls there on the front. The colors, though, of the blue look vibrant and just alive and rich. And again, she's also got some really nice bandaged up boots. I love the strapping that they've added in there as well. Even if really, like, you look on the backs of the heels, they've also added some additional silver. I don't even think they need to add that at all with how much more that they've already done to the back of the figure. Even speaking of the back of the figure, there's what the back of the figure looks like as well. It's such a great looking Evil-Lyn with a lot of cool accessories going for her as well. For the figure's articulation, going back though to her head, do you want to go with this head? Do we want to maybe change out the heads? You know what, let's change out the heads. Let's kind of run through the gauntlet of the different head expressions that she has. We'll pop this one on instead. And again, all of them attached by ball joints. So again, we want to make sure that's all the way on there. There we go. For Evil-Lyn's articulation, we'll go back to her head again. Her head's going to be on a ball joint. It doesn't move, though, up and down all that much, but you can certainly rock it back and forth. You could, in theory, I suppose, rotate it all the way around. The one thing, though, you can be running into, though, is the conflict of the collar. And again, she also has the little sections there on the side of her helmet. So you may want to just kind of make sure you don't hit those. But again, like, the head does have mobility. Not a whole lot, though. The upper torso, though, does have a lot more. You can move it forward and back. I just noticed, though, on mine, it's a little more on the tighter side. But again, you can rotate it forward and back. The figure does also have a little bit down below in her abdomen area, too. The arms rotate all the way around. The one thing, again, you're going to kind of find yourself facing is, again, like the shoulder pads. The arms do go all the way around, but you're going to be feeling it like you're hitting that shoulder pad every single time that you do. The arms come out easily at 90 degrees or a T-pose. She does also have a bend in her elbow, which also serves to give the forearm a swivel back and forth. The hands rotate all the way around. You can hinge them back and forth if you want to use, of course, these hands or not. For her legs, the legs are on ball joints, but they're really tight on this figure. You can move them in and out. Seems to be, again, by the way they sculpt the back of her body, I can see really why there's reasons why her legs are a little bit more limited. They move, sure enough, forward and back, no problems there. But moving them out, you can see they sort of hit the back of her, the back of her behind. A little bit of a swivel there at the top of the thigh. The figure does also have a double hinge on the knee. There is articulation here as well, so you can rotate the boots. Up and down the ankle goes. It's a little on the squeakier side, but it does give you some nice ankle articulation. You can also rock it back and forth as well. What a nice Evil-Lyn. Oh boy. There's a lot of good stuff going on for this figure. I mean, unfortunately, though, the problem with it that she sold out so fast. And again, we'll bring back in Screech. Let's bring back in the other cronies of Skeletor. Let's bring in Trapjaw. I think at one point I had myself a faker. They did release a faker a long time ago, but since then, though, Mondo has really kind of redesigned the Masters. So the newer stuff that we're getting now, I think really is just trumping the stuff that they had done before. And of course, there's also Skeletor, too. Evil-Lyn's got a lot of stuff going good for her. I mean, again, like the one only real issue that I have is like the attaching of the cape. The cape does have, in theory, holes, but they don't really necessarily attach really well to the spikes on the front of her body. And then again, she has so much going for her, some swappable heads. The hard thing really, though, is choosing which head is best for Evil-Lyn. While I do like the neutral expression, I think they painted it really well. I think I'd probably gravitate either to having the smiling face for Evil-Lyn or this head sculpt for Evil-Lyn. And of course, there is also, if you prefer your Evil-Lyn without the helmet, there's that as well. The shaping staff. She also comes included with, again, the staff and the scepter. Again, $260, I think probably is one of the reasons why these Mondo figure releases sell out so fast. Selling them at the price that they do, releasing, again, the quality and just the amount of craftsmanship that goes into these figures in the first place, again, probably be all the reasons why these figures sell out as quickly as they do. I hope, though, they do decide to re-release some of these figures for chances then that collectors who missed their mark, didn't get the chance to get Evil-Lyn the first time around, can then go back to the site. Again, I would always really recommend this. Go to the site, select the option, notify me when available, so that if Evil-Lyn gets stocked again, you can pick her up and add her to your shelf. Like I spent nearly enough time showcasing the benefits of Screech, and the fact the figure does also have some posability on the tops of his legs. So you can move the wings, you can move its legs, and Screech is good to go. You can either display the figure, obviously, on the forum of Evil-Lyn, or if you don't really like that idea, you have a perch available there as well. There's a lot of good stuff available here for Evil-Lyn. First of all, 4 swappable heads, each unique from one another. The one that's the most unique is the fact that there is the one that has the unhelmeted head portrait. I mean, I'm not one that really generally likes Evil-Lyn without the helmet, but if you do, there's one available. The figure does come included with, of course, the staff, the scepter, the shaping staff, and she comes included with a couple of spell casting hands. One specifically that has energy all around it. A smart touch, though, on Mondo's part, that they actually added the energy to the hand, so you don't have to worry, try to guess which hand is this supposed to go with, and try your best to fit this around it. Everything is all good to go. The only thing that really isn't as good to go is that the cape doesn't really attach as securely as I would have liked. From at least what I'm seeing online, the images seem to show that the cape attaches onto the spikes that she has on the front of her bodice. And while they fit on there, they don't stay, sadly, on there. Maybe if they had included, I was thinking even like a clear rubbery kind of clip piece, like something on the back of like an earring, for example, something that could have clipped onto that to hold the cape in place. I mean, it's a bit of a bummer, though, if you want to display the figure with the cape. My plan, though, is to be displaying Evil-Lyn the way that you're seeing right now, without the cape, without the skirt, as evil as she can be. A big thank you again to the folks over at Mondo that did provide this sample. Now, again, like this one did unfortunately sell out on their site. Evil-Lyn, the timed edition, was at the time selling for $260. She sold out. Again, super fast. Now, what you can do, though, is when you go to the site and you see some of these figures that are currently sold out, select the option, notify me when available. I think it works twofold. Not only does it tell Mondo, first of all, that there's collectors out there that are interested. So let's say if they were thinking, okay, do we need to make another run of Evil-Lyn? And then all of a sudden, bingo, 200 people go and notify them. Well, they'll know right away that if they do a second run of the figure, there's collectors that are already going to be interested. But it's also your way, too, to keep track of these figures. So that if there is the chance that Evil-Lyn gets another run, that you will then be notified and you can pick her up that way as well. Again, let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think of Evil-Lyn, whether you've had the chance to pick this one up for yourself, or if this is one that if it does go back in stock on Mondo's site, you would like to add this one to your shelf space. If you guys did enjoy this video, you can do it a solid and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I certainly hope so. There's going to be more videos, by the way, coming your way if you need your fix for Mondo in the meantime. Just recently, we actually looked at the Batman animated series Clayface. We've also looked at Peter Venkman and Sam Hain. I know that's not really the name that he goes by. But if you guys are interested and would certainly like to check out the things that I've looked at in the past for Mondo, popping up at the very end of this video will be a playlist. Feel free to give that a look. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.